Would you like to learn how to shoot videos the Ridley Report way? Then head to RidleyReport.com and shoot me an email.
Because we're working with a financial system where the foundation has been shattered. There really is no foundation to our monetary system and our financial system. We've had the financial crisis hit, and we have seen this a lot of liquidation and transfer of debt. Of course, the debt was transferred from the big guys to the little guys. It goes from, yes, there was no deflation because debt was transferred. And we, the taxpayer, end up buying this debt, and they're back at it again and feeling good about it. But the foundation is not stable. The financial system, I do not believe the worldwide financial system can be rebuilt on a dollar reserve standard. I think they got away with it for a lot longer than they ever dreamed, which means that they just had a bigger bubble than ever before, from 71 up until now, till 2008. So I don't think that's going to be rebuilt, but the dollar is still being accepted around the world. People still, the stock market goes down and the dollar goes up in value. I think that's all temporary. The one thing I think that we're facing is not only the dollar bubble, but the bond bubble. Why in the world would bonds ever serve anybody's interest? If you could buy a 10-year bond and make a couple % interest and think that you're going to have something of value at the end of 10 years or 20 years, nobody invests in bonds to protect their assets. So it's all just gambling and trickery that's going on. And then if nobody will buy them out there, the Fed buys them, or the Fed's wheeling and dealing with other central banks, and they prop up these markets. So right now I think it's in everybody's interest to prop up the dollar. But eventually I think the dollar is going to go down, and down sharply. Since 1971, the dollar against a basket of currencies, the Federal Reserve basket of currencies, is down about 32%. That's serious and significant, but it doesn't tell you a whole lot, because other currencies are the same thing. I mean, why would anybody think, well, okay, the dollar's in trouble, let's all buy euros? That wouldn't save us. But even in spite of that, our dollar, which is supposed to be the king of all the currencies, is still down a third from the other currencies in these last several decades. But the CPI, it's down 82%, and against gold, it's down 97%. So the dollar is very, very weak. But it's been, I've had people before the banking committee and from either the Federal Reserve or Treasury, and talking about, the dollar going down and what significance. And their response usually is, it's okay to go down as long as it's orderly.
All persons of Japanese descent were required to register, and the Japanese themselves cheerfully handled the enormous paperwork involved in the migration.
So I say, oh, okay, if you steal from people in an orderly fashion, then it's okay. But that's, but their attitude, of course, is that as long as you don't have the crashing dollar. But I don't believe they can prevent the crash in the dollar. But I don't believe the dollar is going to crash all by itself. I think they're so interlinked. I don't know of any time in our history, the history of the world, where it's been so global in nature, where all the currencies are linked together, all the currencies are fiat, and that the dollar, of course, is key to this. So some event will come along that will shatter the confidence in the United States. It may be that Osama bin Laden is going to win on what his plans were. His plans were rather precise. He said his goal was to stir up so much trouble that we would go into the Middle East. Of course, we've been there a long time, and he didn't want us, having anything to say with Saudi Arabia or any place else. But in order to bring this to a head, he says, I want to entice the American people over here to get them bogged down in a war. And the bogging down will be something that will drain the support from the American people. And I think he's doing a fairly good job, but it's going to get a lot worse. But he also wanted to drain us financially. And lo and behold, I think we have a few financial problems. So we're doing his bidding there. And the other thing he wanted us to do was get so involved and get so careless with how we were dealing with our foreign policy that there would be more victims, which would create more recruits for him. And so I believe very sincerely that since 9/11, that probably the number of Muslims around the world that hate us and despise us, those numbers have probably grown. And this claim, well, they don't belong to the Taliban or they don't belong to Al-Qaeda, and I think those numbers don't mean very much. I just believe that there's a lot of people in this world responding logically to our foreign policy, and that there's many more enemies out there than ever before. So this means, though, that nothing in that manner will be corrected overseas unless we have a change in our foreign policy. But you know, the significant changes, I don't expect them to come with next year's election. A lot of times I hear the statement, "This coming election is the most important election in the history of the country, and therefore we have to win this, and we have to put in this individual because it's so important." No, they're all significant and all, but I just don't think it's going to be that way. I think what's going to happen is that since we were not going to get 10, 20, 30, or 40 more constitutionalists in the Congress, I think we're going to see a crisis. And when the crisis hits, and the dollar crisis hits, then there'll be a time when the market, the free market, will demand that we do something differently. If people don't trust the money, what power does the federal government have? They've been totally neutralized. The only thing left for them is the creation of new money out of thin air. They can't tax us anymore. I mean, every day there's less people working. For 10 years now, the middle class has been losing wealth. We lose wealth, we lose good jobs. The standard of living is going down. The good jobs aren't going to come back, so they can't tax us in the true sense of the word. There's not enough wealth left to do it. It'll just make the crisis that much worse. Eventually they'll quit loaning monies to us, but then the telltale sign will be when they can't print the money at will. And then the more they print, the more the people become disenchanted. So right now the checks will keep coming. They will print the checks for as long as necessary. Social Security will keep getting their checks. But what they cannot control, because it's beyond all governments, is to maintain value in currency. The markets ultimately determine that. And even today, the value in the dollar depends a lot on the force that they use, the legalized cartel, the emphasis that we in this country is using the currency. They have legal tender laws, and if you start trying to circulate silver dollars as currency, you could go to jail and have your silver stolen from you. So this is you know, we're at a point where something will have to give. And I think what will happen then is that when it stops functioning, there will be like de facto nullification. I don't think we'll ever have legal nullification. This is not going to go to the courts and say, oh yeah, that sounded like a good idea. We think the original intent was the states could nullify laws. Well, what the states will do and what the individuals are going to do, they're just going to ignore the federal government. And
I can arrange to meet you for a class, provide you a 4-page instructional summary, and turn you into a Ridleyographer. Remember, shoot me an email at RidleyReport.com At Ridleyography, I am the bomb.